Welcome back to another episode of the DomJake Podcast. I'm your host, Jake.
And I'm the co-host, Dominic.
And we're pleased to announce that we have a special guest on this one. Would you care to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Lulu021. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Your legal
Welcome to the
documents
show.
say 021. What?
Official.
Oh,
But I'm Lulu.
Join the club.
Right, yeah, just like my real name is Jukev_Nubster, right?
Exactly.
As I actually have my full name.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the Twitch one. Because, believe it or not, we are joined by a guest who is a Twitch streamer. But, amongst other things, we'll explore possibly. So, I guess we could start this off with a little insight, I guess. A little bit of how you got into both speech pathology and Twitch streaming. We could start with one, we could start with the other, we could do both at the same time, like some weird Frankenstein explanation if you want. But how'd you get into these?
Perfect. Yeah, no, of course. So my professional job outside of streaming is I'm a speech and language pathologist. I currently work in the school setting, and I want to say this is maybe my 8th year as a SLP. I'll refer to it as SLP, but I got into the field because growing up, I wanted to maybe be a veterinarian. That's where I originally started. But the reason I didn't go into that was because I learned you have to be, put animals down, and I didn't want to do that. So because I love animals, I was like, no, okay, I'm going to do something different. And then I wanted to be a teacher. And so that was kind of my path that I was considering going. And then in about high school, my mom she's a cosmetologist, so she does hair and all that stuff, but she became a stay-at-home mom when my brother was born and then when I was born. So she eventually went back to work as like an assistant preschool teacher. And so in high school, a lot of my, volunteer work or whatever, I was at the preschool, and I was like, fell in love working with kids. It was just something I wanted to do. And so I was like, okay, maybe I'll do this. And then around the time I was about to graduate high school, actually, my parents got divorced. And so my dad left, and my mom, kind of became the sole parent. And she, I encouraged her to go back for, to school, like at a community college, which is where I was going to go right after high school. And so that she could, get her associates and not just be an assistant. And so we did some schooling together, and she was, like, for me, it's great to work with kids, but, look for something where you can stand on your own 2 feet. And so I took a career and life planning course at the local community college, and I found speech language pathology, and I had never heard of it before. I, was curious about what it was. And the funny thing is, actually, the preschool that I was working at, there was one day where a speech language pathologist came to observe one of the students or children. And she actually was super friendly. I, let her know I was kind of interested, and she was very open to me observing her and coming to kind of watch what she does. And that was, I think, really the biggest part of when I was like, this is what I want to do. I was able to go and see her. She worked at a school probably like 5 minutes from where I live. And so from there, I was like, this is great. I'll go into this field. And so that is kind of how I got into speech language pathology specifically. And then with Twitch, I guess, should I talk about Twitch or?
Actually, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So how does it feel now being the teacher versus now when you were the kid at the time? I don't know. Do do you look at those kids and think, oh, I was those kids too?
Yeah, so it was a really nice kind of mesh of what I love working with kids. And it's a little more of a specialty, so I work with just a select few at the school. Um, but when I was growing up, I always remember seeing kids being pulled out of class, for maybe like academic help or speech and language, but I never really knew anything of it. Um, and what's actually kind of funny is when I was little, I had trouble saying my R's. That was like, I was probably fourth grade, still saying, wold and wabbit and all of that. And, but it's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit difficult to kind of qualify for services in the school. And so the other students in my class, his mom, uh, was an SLP. And so she just kind of gave my mom like worksheets and strategies. And so I ended up like practicing my speech at home. So it was like my mom was my SLP.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's for me now as like the professional at school, it's like I will see students that maybe wouldn't qualify, but I still like to like connect with the parents or like provide like resources or support so that they can, help their child at home. Because that was something that probably would have been really helpful for myself personally. I think we were lucky that you know, there was a fellow parent in my same class that was able to help. But yeah, like I guess that's kind of like the perspective shift for myself now that I'm, the adult
Mm-hmm.
at school.
So you kind of had the good old vigilante sort of thing where it's like, yeah, I could explain, where it's basically like you had an experience, good or bad, doesn't matter. So you want to prevent it from happening with the future generation, so to speak, right? Where because you had problems pronouncing your R's, you 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 went on to you know help prospective students practice their
Mm-hmm.
R's, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Um,
I'm
or
glad you picked up on the bit because I'm probably not going to do that again.
No, one thing that was really funny, or not funny, but in my schooling for becoming this, they did say like one of the skills that is good is to be able to like imitate sound errors or like speech or communication difficulties so that we can like explain it for other people. So, yeah, it's something that I've had to use also as a professional, just kind of
mm-hmm.
re-tapping into my own sound errors.
Oh yeah, I could see that because like the greatest teacher is one who's learning from the students as well, right?
Hmm.
Because it's one of those things where it's like even after graduation, you never think you're gonna learn anything else, right?
Hmm.
Life kicks you in the butt because then you're like, oh shoot, mortgages. I don't know what the heck these are.
Uh-oh. What's this?
Exactly.
Oh no, I don't know how to put this rocket ship together. I should have paid attention in science.
Exactly, exactly.
Rocket science tangent aside, I guess. We can stick to the path of speech pathology. There we go. We can stick to that.
You mastered it.
Yeah, there. Hey, I can do your job already now, right? Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
How do you approach helping students with speech and language difficulties? Do you possibly get recommended by different teachers, or do you get a ring by the parents? Maybe do you see it yourself and like, hey, I think you need me? How does that process go?
Yeah, no, that's actually a really great question. So there can be a few different ways. You named actually a lot of them. Oftentimes the teachers will like reach out and be like, hey, the student's having trouble with, I'm having trouble understanding them, or maybe, they're having trouble with like social skills. I can talk a little bit later about the different kind of areas that I can help or support with. But yeah, so a teacher might reach out to me. Sometimes parents will reach out, to the teacher, and then the teacher will kind of connect me with the parent. Other times, if I am in and out of like a few different classrooms, and I kind of get to know majority of the children and students there. And so there may be some that I kind of have on like my radar that I'm like, okay, maybe, next year I'll check and see if they're still struggling. Because for the school-based services, we have to kind of go through a process of like screening them to see how they are in certain, speech and language skill areas. And then if we do have to do testing, we have to, get parent consent, and then we do testing, and we're able to see kind of where they are scoring in certain like domains of language and speech or whatever the areas of concern are. Uh, and there's like state eligibility criteria that we have to kind of compare their results to. And the way that I kind of help explain that to families is, we look at like age, or developmental norms. Like if there was third grade students, so they're maybe about 8 years old, we'd say if we were to have like 100 8-year-olds lined up, where would they fall there? Are they kind of within the average? Are they above average? Or are they below average? And then, if they do meet eligibility and they show that they need support, then from there is when I can propose like goal areas to work on, and then like service minutes. So yeah, a lot of the referral process can kind of just be all different areas. Sometimes there will be kids who already kind of know me and want to come with me, even though I'm like, oh, I can't tell them that I can't work with them because I don't have their parent permission. But sometimes there will be children that are interested just because they see me around and they know that the other kids in their class get to come with me and work with me for a little bit.
I was a student too one day. I mean, like, there was a point where it's like, wait a minute, all that class does is color. I want to go there.
Yeah, sometimes they describe it as we're just playing games, is what I get a lot.
Hey, it's fun games, and you know what? If it means social studies turns into a 10-minute class and then 15 minutes of Magic Land, go to Magic Land.
Oh.
Basically, so I work with like elementary students, so kindergarten to about 5th grade. And then I also work with middle school students to 6th grade to 8th grade. And there will be some middle school students who will like just be so happy when they get out of class and to work with me because they
No
get
high
to
school students.
No, I do not work with any high school students. I actually I haven't had any experience with high school. I've only had experience with I don't know about high school. That might be too old for me to work with.
I was in your position too, where it's like I saw different students getting taken out. I was actually one of them at a point, not for speech
Oh.
pathology,
I
but
was.
for just, I guess, reading comprehension. Maybe you would classify that the same way, but I was just, diagnosed with ADHD. I didn't know how to cope with it. So it's like, I don't want to read this paragraph. Put it away. Let's sharpen my pencil for the 5th time this minute. Right?
Yep, I literally throughout when I first started as a kid from when I graduated, yep, I had to do speech throughout pretty much my whole time in school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
See that? You could deal with college kids.
That's true. How was your experience? I get mixed messages when I talk to adults who've had speech in the past.
Well, they have me read. I guess I don't know. There's a whole lot of layers. Anyway, so I had to read certain things and do a lot of problem solving, and some of them were math questions I had to figure out. There was just, I don't know. It's just I don't know where to start, honestly.
If you don't know where to start, I could start with my journey because mine's a lot shorter, I guess. My journey was just a matter of 2 years. It was basically, I think, 3rd and 4th grade because the elementary school that I was going under construction, right? So we were hauled to another place to do our 2 years of education there. So those 2 years where I was at a different place, I just didn't like reading. I still kind of don't, but I know how to do it now. Um, I didn't really like it, so I honestly don't think I was there for the reason why a lot of the other students were. I just was hyperactive and didn't want to do it. I think that's where I fell, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Yep. I did a lot of reading activities, like math activities, and by the time the whole smartphone age came, yep, there was this app that I used that I guess I had to solve some problems, and whatever is the context of the video is, I have to explain it.
Oh.
Yep, that's just one memory I have from 6th grade.
Ah, that was a middle school one. I thought for a second you were going to say third grade. Yeah,
Wow.
interesting.
3rd grade. Well, the smartphones were just beginning to become mainstream, but we're not going to talk about smartphones as we've already mentioned social media.
However, we could talk about the role of technology in your expertise, I guess, in your situation, Lou. If you want to talk about like the role of technology in speech therapy or how it even
Yeah.
impacted your practice.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Actually,
Good
I
set.
have that question really got me excited to share because the like role of technology has like impacted a lot of some of the areas that I work with. One of them is so when I was in grad school, I was on like a grant to work on to like become like a bit of a specialist in a certain area, and that was working with children and who are deaf and hard of hearing and their families. And one of the, you know, big technology supports for that is hearing aids and also cochlear implants. Um, and so even from my time, studying until now, like I feel there's been a lot of like developments in like improving technology. And so being able to like understand how that helps for the child to be able to like hear and for me to be able to then work with like what areas or what levels they can hear at for when I'm teaching them, sound production or how to pronounce certain produce words, certain sounds and words. And so for technology in that aspect, that has been really huge for helping, children who are essentially deaf or, have really profound hearing loss to be able to hear and eventually listen and talk. Like that for me is just so powerful, how technology has supported people in that way.
You gotta love it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's been really exciting, and there's been so many new, you know, feats in technology, Bluetooth capability, even with hearing aids or cochlear implants, and just like how that can support also with their academics, hearing in a classroom, being able to um, listen to, on a lot of technology in the classroom has also been a big shift. There's been Chromebooks, laptops, even for kindergarten students now. After
Oh god.
we kind of came back from COVID, our school really pushed for technology to get home to every child just so that, school could keep happening. Um, and since we've been back in person, there's technology everywhere just in the classroom. So you have little kindergarten students learning Google Docs and programs
Yep,
that I would have, couldn't have said that I would see.
we have not. It's like we didn't have that as kids.
No, exactly. And so there's so back with technology for speech and language, like they're able to connect, to devices to help um, hear their teacher or hear their, there's testing on the computer. So, um, And then another area of technology too that I also really have found impactful is it's called augmentative alternative communication, which is essentially ways that we support like verbal speech. So, we all use it. We use gestures when we talk, nod our head, shrug our shoulders, like those are all supports. But and then it can be anything from signing, like sign language, or children who maybe have difficulty expressing themselves verbally might use like pictures to communicate. And it can even go up to high tech where they use like an iPad or like a designated device where it has, pictures, and it's you're able to kind of touch and select the picture, and then there's like a voice output. And so I was actually really blessed that one speech language pathologist I met way back when I was at the preschool, I stayed in contact with her, and when I was doing my school-based placement in graduate school, she was able to be my mentor. So I worked with her, and she's a specialist in that area. And so seeing the role of like technology to be able to support, individuals who have trouble speaking with their voice, but still finding ways to help them to communicate, like using a device like that has been really impactful.
Nice,
Alright.
nice. Dom, is there any additional thing? I have one more, well, I guess technically two more bullet points for the speech part, but if you want to say something.
As of now, I don't really have much to say.
All right,
But,
my bullet point. Hey, you did ask one good question that turned into a good tangent, so just wanted to see if there's more in there.
I don't know. I just don't really have anything off the top of my head right now. So let's move to the next point.
All right, we can do that. I've actually been curious about some of the common speech disorders that you encounter, and how is it that you would actually address them?
That's a great question. So like the areas that speech language pathologists can assess, diagnose, and treat it's a pretty wide range. Being that I work in the school, I don't address all of them, but just kind of a general look at what anyone with that degree can do is working with students with like, articulation or sound production, like we mentioned, the having trouble with their R's, or having trouble with certain sounds. Also language impairments, so children who maybe have trouble with, or not children, I'll just say individuals, because speech language pathologists can work basically the span of life from infancy to geriatric, adult, elderly. And so language impairments might be, trouble with understanding language, which we call receptive language. If you give someone a direction and maybe they have trouble holding that information in their mind and being able to, follow the instruction, or expressive language, which is like basically our use of language, so talking or communicating. Also, with younger infants, there are some speech language pathologists who work with feeding. So like infants who have trouble with feeding or trouble with any sort of like challenges around that. There's an area that speech language pathologists can support with that. Also kind of like cognitive challenges. So for adults, maybe if they had like a traumatic brain injury, or maybe they had a stroke, or some sort of trauma to their brain or their cognition, or something that impacts how their ability to communicate. So speech language pathologists can help with that population as well.
You just actually made me remember something. Like a few years ago, I think 2 or 3 at this point. my mom did go through, I think, a second stroke, and she did get someone to come to this house. And like for a while, she was doing like these flashcards where it's like the lady was saying like yellow, and then mom was supposed to say sun or something, and then like there was a joke that I actually made because I was there one day, and she went yellow, and I quickly went snow. Right? Yeah, but you made me remember that actually.
Oh, wow. Oh,
So
that's
it's actually
awesome.
closer, I guess, than my 2 year just ADHD experience in elementary school. I did have, I guess, an outside looking inward reaction towards it. So
Oh yeah.
that was interesting.
Yeah,
Does
it's really, I feel like there's so many areas that the field covers that you don't always think of. I feel like initially you're just like, oh, you help someone with their sounds or if they have a lisp. But there's like so much within it um, that you don't always think of. And I'm glad that your mom got that support too. It's it's and that's an area that I don't work with in the schools. But there are speech language pathologists who work with, maybe in hospitals or like a rehab center. And then there's a few other areas. So one of the other areas is like fluency. So like maybe someone who has like a stutter or disfluencies. We can also work with clients and with that. Let me see.
I would imagine like foreigners coming in, probably with like a second language, third language, probably
Yes.
having different things. Because I know in
That means right, very
Indonesia,
noisy, yes.
they have like
But
I'm only
cot
going off of like
different
a
meaning.
7 second clip
COD
that I
is
saw.
cot. Oh, cot, but cot. Not cot. Chocolate, cho. You know how to pronounce the C cho. Bacot. Yeah. Yeah, now you are Indonesian now. Yeah.
D is how we would write it in like an English lettering, but it's like I saw a clip of like an Australian trying to learn that word, and it's like the a single C is just like a ch sound, right? Like, but like a specific sort of like, at least from my 7 seconds of that clip understanding, it's kind of like a in between like a th and a ch, and the Australian and honestly myself, because I tried it for like 14 seconds after that, just couldn't get it like the first try, right? So the Indonesian is over here being like, no, but don't, right? So
Yeah.
you know what? The Indonesian was probably not the greatest teacher, but I'm assuming that foreigners also get a sort of treatment like that.
Yeah, you actually brought up a really great point. So one thing that's so fascinating is, when we're younger, like infant, toddler, child age, we have the capacity of essentially learning any language on the planet. And when we're exposed to one language and we grow up in it, we kind of learn that speech pattern or sound pattern. And uh, that's something, different languages have different sound inventories or ways that they produce certain sounds. And that's where, in a way, accents kind of come from when we don't, we didn't grow up with it and we're trying to produce it. And we aren't able to clearly produce it because we haven't practiced it. And then the other side of what you shared too is there is a part of speech language pathology that can support, like, it's called accent or like a dialect modification. So if there are people who, move to the United States and they want to work on improving their English, they can see a speech language pathologist for learning how to say sounds in English. And one thing that in the school setting, that's something we don't really work on. Everything we work on in the school, we have to kind of tie it back to like, is it impacting their learning or their ability to like access, their education? So if a student has like a primary language other than English, like Spanish or Tagalog or some other language, we have to always look and see, are they having trouble saying the sound because it wasn't in their native language, or are they having trouble with a sound that would be? And so then it's like, okay, it's a disorder versus just like a difference in languages. But outside, private practice, that can definitely be worked on. There's SLPs who do work with individuals who want to, improve their English or improve their, pronunciation of some words. And another area too that has kind of gotten larger recently is like transgender or transsexual like voice and communication. So individuals who are going through maybe gender change or wanting to
Gender reassignment.
Yes,
something?
reassignment or wanting to kind of modify how their voice sounds. Speech language pathologists can support that. And there is also an area of just voice as well for speech and language. Singers or people who, have hurt their vocal folds or vocal cords. They can see a speech language pathologist to help improve and like regain some of their voice, but then also a branch off of that is helping individuals learn to speak sounding as a different gender, working on some of those voice voice characteristics, feminization or masculinization. So that's like another area that has gotten bigger recently.
Mm-hmm.
Right on, right on. I mean, like,
As I trip over my own words.
heck,
We all do it.
Hey, we've all been there. I mean, how many of this, how much audio have we cut out just because one of us, tripped over our tongue? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Dom, like serious, like percentage-wise, I think that's like 33, isn't it?
Possibly, if we don't count dead air moments too.
Right, yeah, because we do have dead air
Yes.
where it's like, oh, well, what's the word
And
then?
let me know if you want to keep that. You can keep that trip in, or I could say it again too if you want. I don't mind either way.
You don't mind either way. I'm the editor. I'm lazy. I want to do
Okay.
as little as I can.
All right. And then one of the last other areas is also swallowing. So
Oh,
if people who've like again had like a stroke or something, if they have trouble eating and swallowing foods, maybe they choke or aspirate, speech language pathologists, and this is in the hospital setting more so, can work on like food consistencies that a patient can tolerate with swallowing. And then I already talked about the augmentative alternative communication part of it, but I want to say that's most. The last area I would say is probably social pragmatic skills. I don't think I've talked about that. And that is basically supporting individuals who maybe have trouble identifying social cues or conversational like rules of conversation. Maybe they have trouble with turn taking. They have trouble, staying on topic, or they have trouble identifying other people's like nonverbal skills or nonverbal cues. Cues exactly, or identifying other people's feelings or how emotions. So that's kind of another area that we work on. And I think I kind of strayed a little far from your question, Jacob.
I mean, what was my question again?
I know, that's what I'm realizing.
It was about foreigners, but you know what? Like foreign people learning the language, or vice versa, right? But honestly, it's a great tangent to have because you gave insight to another branch, right?
Yes.
How did you get into Twitch streaming?
All right, shifting. So, oh goodness. I looked back actually. I looked back at like my, own channel information to figure out how long I've been streaming. So I've been on Twitch since like 2013, I think.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I had originally, I don't know if you both remember Justin TV years ago. Um, I think it was like Justin TV and then it was Twitch and then Justin TV went away and it became more just Twitch as the platform. And so I was always a viewer. I still am a viewer. But I think, and I didn't quite find when it was that I actually started streaming. It may have been like 2017. I did like a couple streams. And it was way back on like my PlayStation. I just was like, you know what? I've seen other people do it. Why not try it? Just for fun. And I think I streamed like old games, like it was like Little Big Planet or um some game I was playing at the time. I don't even remember what it was. But and then I took like a hiatus, like maybe a year or something. And actually what really got me back into it was the pandemic. I was home and working from home and I figured, you know what, why not try streaming again? And I think that was when I really got more into it. A big part was being just consistent. I tried to have like a schedule. I tried to um, you know, stick with it a little bit more. And I guess, I've always loved video games. I grew up ar around video games. I had a SNES was my first console.
Oh, so
I
this is going way back then.
we're going way back. We're a boomer here.
That's
Um, and I always had Nintendo systems growing up. Um, yeah, Super
Yep.
Nintendo, GameCube, N64, Wii, all of those things. And it wasn't until I was older that I eventually started to have like a PlayStation. So I played a lot more kid games growing up and eventually shifted into, um, you know,
Like
other
just
games.
more, I guess, is more age appropriate.
More mature, older games. And
Maybe
yeah,
not.
so I would say that's kind of how I got into it. It was just kind of to let's see what happens, let's have fun. And something that really helped was having so I not everyone that I know IRL knows that I'm a streamer. But some that I've played like games online with knew, or like some of my IRL friends or friends, I met, I kind of told. So it was nice to have some of them like in the community or in the chat like initially. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's essentially how I got into it. I didn't expect to have as much of a positive response from so many people as I have had. So yeah, it's been very humbling.
Mm-hmm.
So I am pretty certain I know the answer to this, and Dom maybe not so much. So I guess for the benefit of Dom and potential viewers who don't know what you do, what type of content do you do?
Great question. For me, I have kind of settled into I wanted to do variety. I when I did kind of get back into streaming in 2019, 2020, I was essentially like a Mario Maker 2 streamer. I was really into the game. I streamed it every day. That was kind of what I did. Viewer levels all the time. And eventually it was like, okay, maybe we can try something new, or I wanted to kind of integrate other things in just so I wasn't always playing that game. And so now I kind of the content, it's a little bit of like just chatting. I think as an SLP, I really love having like conversations and interacting with people. So I do like really value the time in just chatting. Usually it's like before and at the beginning and end of my streams. And then I also do so I do Mario Maker 2. I actually haven't recently. This is kind of an interesting time. I've been having some like hand and wrist pain, so I haven't been playing a lot of like controller games as much. But typically I would do like Mario Maker 2, and then I have a day where I play retro games. I've really enjoyed the on the Switch, the Nintendo Online, so I'll play old N64 games, SNES games, Game Boy, whatever, GameCube games. And it's been really nice to be able to play some games that I didn't ever play when I was younger. Of course, I have replayed a lot that I did play, which has been really fun for like nostalgia. And then I also try to play like PlayStation games as well. So I try and keep it a bit of a variety. And I did just get like a more of a like gaming laptop PC. So now I've kind of started to delve into PC games too, which has been really nice. So I try and keep it variety as far as like the content.
Definitely good to have a variety.
Is there anything else other than gaming that you ever do?
So I would have to say the just chatting I've done like with talking to community. I've also played a little bit of like crossword puzzles or also done, which has been really great actually to note, like that's had a lot of fun like community engagement because some viewers have made crossword puzzles for me to play.
Mine was
um I I do also like I like other hobbies I like. I'm being like creative, like drawing or like cross stitching, like all these different things that maybe would be kind of cool to do at some point. But for the most part, it's like just talking, just chatting, and then playing games here and there. And I also have tried to integrate like community game nights or games that I could play with viewers or other people into the rotation too. So that's been really fun.
Yeah, from my memory alone, we've done a few, I guess, Mario Maker like co-op experiences, like a few. We've done some Fall Guys stuff. Currently, we're doing a Minecraft server that like 10 of us kind of rotate through every now and then. We've done what else has been a like a community, I guess, co-op experience.
I know we've also played Pokemon Unite a bit, and I think we also have done
A cart, I
I think
think.
yeah, we did Mario Kart once.
Someone was
Yeah, like
obsessed with the cheese land.
yes, I feel like it, and I also want to try and find games where like a good amount of viewers can join, or at least like rotate it out so everyone gets a chance to do something with the community. Uh, I think being able to kind of expand into PC games is going to allow for more content. Like Minecraft has been really fun, and it's a game that I'm kind of experiencing for the first time on stream, which has been really unique. To learn from chat as well.
Yeah, Minecraft, it's depending on what mode you're in, it can be fun.
What mode you're in? It's always fun, man. You just gotta know how to play it.
Yep, recently me and Jake have done the survival mode. We have something going on with that, but we haven't lately been on there. But
oh, what are you talking about? I've been doing it. I just didn't tell you.
But oh yes, Mario Maker. I haven't been on that, but that's something that I've played a lot.
Same
yeah, it's
here.
Very fun.
I have over 3,000 hours in there.
And for the retro games, sometimes I'll turn on the old GameCube and play something on that 13-inch color TV.
Classic.
Yep.
Nice. I am curious about one more thing. Well, not one more thing. I guess I technically have 5 more bullet points or whatever from this. But I'm curious about something here. This kind of gets into an opinionated area. Now, you might want to skip forward if you don't want to hear the amazing opinions that Lulu has, but what is your favorite, or I guess most memorable, Twitch streaming moment?
Ooh. Um, yeah, that's a good question. I was trying to think of what it would be. I think it's kind of a collection a bit. I think what has been really special about um my time on Twitch is one, like the people and like the viewers who come, I would say is pretty memorable. Like I try and make a connection and really remember things about viewers. And so being able to kind of foster some of those like interactions and relationships in that way has been very memorable. And also I've found like the community at large, there's like a lot of just great people on Twitch. And so having, people like raid my channel and people like share their community with mine has been like very like memorable in and of itself. I think one of the largest raids I've ever had was from Panga, which like kind of floored me when he rated me. And that was probably a few years ago. I think it was when I was kind of more newly getting back into streaming. Like I said, I started with like, no no layovers or not layovers, sorry, layouts, overlays, that's the word.
Just
Just
flip the
straight
two.
straight from the console. And I started to kind of, build on it a little bit, but I'd say, even after that, like other people will share their communities. And one thing I try to do each stream is raid other streamers. Just because I know how like um I feel when people raid me. So I want to like kind of keep that positivity and sharing going. So it's been nice to have that kind of, you know,
Just the
community and like a greater Twitch community. Um, and then just like other memorable moments, I'd say like just a lot of firsts that happen, when I'm experiencing new games on stream with chat. It's been really like fun. Also, I'd say if you haven't caught any of my streams, I do stream in the evenings usually. So I'm in the United States on the West Coast. And so I will sometimes get tired and potentially fall asleep or kind of doze. And, it's always kind of funny when that happens on stream. We actually have a yawn command because I'll yawn. And it's been just kind of a bit of some funny moments that come out of that.
It's 800 or so now, I think.
I think we might be, yeah. Probably hit 1,000 in 2024, I think. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Hey, well, at least you'll be hitting 1,000. I don't know if we'll be hitting 1,000 episodes of this, but no, maybe.
wow.
Who knows?
Maybe.
Hey, Dom, clear your schedule for the next year. Let's just do these, and then every hour swap who hosts it. There we go. That's what we do.
Perfect.
There we go. 365 times 24, right?
Actually, next year's gonna be 366.
Oh my God, is it going to be a leap year?
Yep.
Well,
Oh,
guess what?
wow.
We can leap to the next topic.
Perfect.
I'm doing good with segues, man. Like, look at that, right?
Perfect.
So, how do you manage your time between your speech pathology and your Twitch to kind of, I guess, collaborate in between these two topics?
It's funny. I was kind of thinking about that just now. It's like, well, I don't know how well I'm managing it if I'm falling asleep on stream. No.
That's fair.
No, what I've done, so I've like one thing I tried to stick with was a schedule. So I'm typically live Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So I'm like, okay, I have a lot of meetings at work, usually later in the week. So, I don't have to worry about doing work after work as much on those days. I think in a way it's kind of also like a big challenge I think just a lot of people face is like work-life balance in general. And so almost keeping to like streaming has helped me to be like, okay, like you're not working on anything speech language pathology related. Like we're gonna transition and like stream and game and have fun. So in a way it's kind of been nice to have that, you know, routine.
It's like the corporate office worker who goes to those rage rooms and like breaks all this stuff. It's just I guess a stress reliever from your day to day.
Exactly. Exactly, yeah. But there are times too where, I might be having such like a good stream or it's really fun and engaging and I stream later than I would plan to. And so, I think it's kind of like a ongoing balance, but I was surprised, having started streaming more consistently during like work from home in the pandemic and then now going back to work in person, and I've still been able to maintain it. So, I think it's just like an ongoing process. I'm trying to be more efficient during my time at work during the day so that I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to stream tonight. Like, I don't want to have to do this later. Let me make time to try and do it during the day. So I'd say that's kind of how I've been trying to manage it. I think it's actually kind of funny though. I have noticed there's been a little overlap. So I work with students and they're usually in groups. Sometimes it's one-on-one, but I'm so used to, when I'm streaming saying like, all right, chat or hey chat. And there have been a couple times, not as much recently, but where I've like talked to the kids and been like, oh, hey chat. And then I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, I'm sure that's fair because I'm sure some of them have called you mom before, right?
Oh, true. That does happen.
So it's a good old yin yang there. You give, you take,
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. You definitely want to have that balance between your work life and then the streaming.
Yes. And I think I've been trying to, keep my my Twitch community more informed too. I think I have to thank a lot of people in my chat who've kind of helped me like grow in a positive way, both from like other streamers on the platform as well, and even just like viewers in my chat, encouraging me to make a Discord for everyone. That kind of didn't happen right away. Or encouraging me to, make a YouTube channel to save all of the VODs from streams.
Yeah, the VODs is a good idea, man. Like,
yeah.
Okay, I actually have a question for the Twitch. Do you ever get bored? I mean, I know when it comes to not just Twitch exclusively, but a lot of content, sometimes I know these creators, they enjoy it, but then over time they get
burnt out.
bored. Like creator burn. Do you ever experience that, or
do you suffer with any burnout, I guess?
That's a loaded question. Work related, I can feel sometimes a bit of, with my day job, some times where it's more strained or burnout, and kind of spreading yourself a bit too thin. But I think what's helped me for that is just like building relationships with people like my colleagues or people I work with, and having their support has helped. And then in regard to Twitch and streaming, there will be days or times where maybe not many people come to chat, or especially when I was playing like a lot of Mario Maker 2, and being unsure, like, do I change games? Do I not? And I think one thing I just kind of keep going back to is like, okay, like as long as I'm having fun, as long as I'm, enjoying it, regardless of, the outcome or what happens, like that's the reason why I'm doing it. And kind of like being able to be consistent, because it's really easy, especially when I kind of stopped streaming initially years ago, was like, oh, I just didn't stream today. I'll stream tomorrow. Oh, I didn't, I'm not going to stream tomorrow. Kind of like, if you're trying to go to the gym and you're getting on a schedule, like, oh, I'll go to the gym another day, and
Shout
Or
out
it's
to
just like-
Vince.
Let me do I'll do my homework in the next hour. Okay, next hour I'll do my homework.
Yep. And it's funny, like, because I'm a bit of a procrastinator too, like always have been, like in school, like, oh, I'll do it later, or whatever.
Oh my God.
So, it's a bit of fighting some of those tendencies, but I think what has helped is having a schedule and a routine. And even with, Twitter or Discord or however, and people kind of asking like, oh, are you streaming today? Or, kind of like people looking forward to it, I think has also helped me be like, okay, like, you can do this. Just stay with that routine and, just kind of like riding through some of those feelings of like burnout or times with streaming.
Yeah.
I wonder if there are any challenges or rewards of being a Twitch streamer, and possibly how does it complement to your speech pathology?
Yeah. I think a challenge would be just like a lot of like unknown, like you don't know if people who come in are going to like your stream. You don't know if the games you're playing, if it's going to bring people in or not. Kind of like uncertainty around that. And I guess a reward is when you do find people who kind of keep coming back and, continue to follow and continue to interact. Again, also shout out to the lurkers, because I know there's plenty of lurkers as well. But I think that's been very rewarding. I'm, one of the reasons I went into my professional field too was I really love helping people, and just like I think I found that this kind of hobby of playing games and going live and inviting people to join is that I can also like meet people that I would never have met if I don't stream. I mean, I would be really curious, but I feel like a lot of my viewers are almost like on the East Coast or like in other countries. I don't know many that are on the West Coast, but thinking of how many, like, it's almost like unbound how many people you can reach. And so it's definitely been a reward to meet so many people and get to know them. And just I also wanted to really build like a positive and safe place for everyone. They can come in, they can share the good, the bad, everything about, whatever they're going through in life. And that there will be people who see them and hear them and value them as a person. And I think I've found that people within the community are also kind of that way as well, with each other and just with other, people who come in. And so just that has been something that's also been like, it was a both challenge and reward to kind of build that and also to kind of maintain it. And I think in a way how that kind of complements my, my day job is, I'm around so many different people, adults, children, parents. I also have experience working with like attorneys or like advocates, and like it can be challenging at times. And so I think the more I'm able to interact with people, learn how, to really kind of connect with people regardless of who they are, has just been a really great way of, balance. It's been a really great way of like growing. I know we mentioned before of like we're basically lifelong learners. We're always learning and improving. And so I, also as an SLP, if you ever meet them, we talk a lot. So I think being a streamer and talking has also been a way that I've, it feels in a way a little bit natural to just be able to talk through stream and talk with people.
Mm-hmm.
Well put. Jeez.
I don't know.
Hey, you're
I don't know what I said.
selling yourself short with that one. Like that was hey, for a speech pathologist, it's got to mean something that you made two talkers speechless with that one, right? Yeah. But that's totally an admirable answer that you had there.
Well, thank you.
Because it definitely is a certain wonder that you're able to connect. And I'm saying the general you, not just Lou, you, but anyone can pretty much connect with anyone in the world. However, there is definitely a downside to connecting to everyone in the world because suddenly you're focused on, oh my God, this Chinese neighborhood had a sinkhole that opened up when maybe 20 years ago you would have never heard of that. But suddenly it's at your fingertips right now. Is there any negative, I guess, negative associations to internet and your Twitch side of things?
Ooh, that's a great question. Again, because it's like there is that downside of like being able to reach everyone. I try and be as like professional even in streaming. A lot of things are pretty private for like who I am outside of streaming. And so I really try and be mindful of like what I do put online. Both so also because I work with kids too and just work,
Right.
keeping that life separate in a way.
How many stories have we heard of OnlyFans creators getting fired from their kindergarten class, right?
Yeah. I think, and there's information is like at your fingertips and, I have kindergarten students who know TikTok and are on TikTok. Like I think I'm in a unique situation where I can see the impact of technology on youth, I guess. And so I think it just helps me to be more safe and protective when I am like interacting online and being able to kind of create healthy boundaries too, as best that I can. Most of the kids talk about like YouTubers though, so I haven't had to,
Man, what are you talking about?
dodge.
The VODs are on YouTube. You're popular there, right?
That's true. You're right.
Perfect.
Hey,
Yep.
you're gonna get your golden play button relatively soon, right?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty close,
Yeah,
There you go.
you're only 950,000 away, right? We could do it by the end of the year.
Yep. Next
Yep.
year's the year.
Perfect. Yep. It's already they already made it now, but they'll wait till you hit it and they'll slap your name on it.
There we
They're
go.
just
I like
expecting
that.
you. They're gonna be in office spinny chairs. You're gonna enter the YouTube headquarters. They're gonna turn around with all of them having white cats on their lap. They're gonna be, I've been expecting you
Yeah.
to have hit 1 million within this year, right? Okay.
Yep.
There is definitely that balance though of real life interaction and digital ones. With many streamers, I'm not necessarily saying your side, but definitely with bigger ones, it's more prevalent that you would see parasocial relationships popping up. Is there any way that you combat that, or do you fully accept it? Because if you act like best friends, you get more tips. That's what works with waitresses, and that's what works online too.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think one thing that has helped me is because Twitch and streaming isn't my like career or my full-time job, I've been able to keep most of like my interactions to when I'm like live, or it's like this is the time I'm streaming, like this is when we're having our interactions. I think there are it's kind of inevitable to create relationships with people too. Even as a viewer, connecting with people in chat and, direct messaging people. So I think, it's just kind of like navigating that, because I definitely want to be there for people in my community, as like, someone who can listen to others and like support. And, I also, one thing that is a little unique about my stream is I don't use a camera. Um, it's a no cam stream, and initially it was because I was streaming straight from my console. I, clearly I just got my PC laptop, so it's, a lot of it was kind of just like technology at first, but I think for me, one of my favorite streamers that I always have watched is Lyric, and he's a pretty larger streamer who uses no cam as well. And so I think at this point now, it's more so of like, I want people to enjoy their time watching the gameplay, good or bad, because we all know my gameplay is a bit papega. But just, the interactions and focus on that, I think. Has been one thing that I've been pretty proud that I've been able to make it as far as I have without a camera.
Wow.
People will ask me here and there about it, but
Like-
I think I can see in some ways where it can enhance, seeing, the streamer's reactions and kind of having a little like a feeling of maybe more connectedness in that way. But I hope that through how I stream and how I connect with people, that I'm still able to kind of build and foster that, even without a camera. So
Yeah, I mean, a good
Yeah,
thing that
right.
you do to kind of exemplify that is, even if it takes you a long ass time, you're going to scroll through the whole chat pretty much, and you read through everything. Everything. At least that TTS doesn't, right?
yes.
You'll read everything. I'm like, get back to the game, man. Like,
I know.
you didn't even pause it. Like, you're reading my random story about, like, I don't know, eating turkey on a submarine. Get to the game. Pause it.
Yes.
I don't care about your $1,000 chicken wing from the, I don't know, from like the farm of, I don't know, London. I don't know.
The farm of London, right?
Yes. And that's something that I think, as a smaller community and as in a smaller stream, I've been able to have those connections. And I just want everyone to know that, like, I'm I'm like hearing what they say, and invested in that, because I do know, I mean, there will be streams where the chat's moving 1,000 miles a minute and you're just like, kind of, it's like a part of the masses. So I think that's one thing that I try and take time to do. I know it does kind of take away from some of the gameplay, but I think it kind of creates for fun content too, when it's I forget to pause, or I basically did just chatting within my gaming category for however long. And but yeah, I think that's one way that I've been able to still kind of make some connections with people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, like, thinking back, like, growing up, I didn't like speaking a lot, or I was definitely more shy. I still don't really like public speaking as much, but I think it's been really great to meet so many people and like have almost like one-on-one or small group kind of conversations. And so I think that's really important to me in the stream, to be able to continue that.
Mm-hmm.
Right on, right on.
Oh yeah. Speaking of the whole parasocial relationships, let's rewind back to when you started to stream again. There was a big name streamer that had a lot of attention during that time, which I don't know if I'll say the name.
We could say it, but we could. I could silence it if you want.
But who here knows about Pokimane?
Yeah.
Yep, and she knows that most of the viewers watching, they, well, a lot of our viewers have developed parasocial relationships.
I mean, it's definitely not just Pokey though. It's like there's
No,
also
but
Amaranth. There's also frickin' to some extent even Ludwig, right? It works with the
Mhm.
male side too. Um, I mean, Lud's more, I guess, better than that. I guess that was a bad example, but it's definitely a thing that's prevalent, man, and it works. That's why people do it.
Mhm.
Like it
yeah,
definitely works to pretend. Well, maybe you're not pretending, but you know, news outlets
you
don't know that.
you give off the energy, I guess, if that makes sense. Even though
Mhm.
that's not your intention.
Whether it's real or not, there are people out there who will misconstrue it. You might think that your, I guess, your sarcasm might be flawless, but sarcasm is something that not everybody understands. And I guess that kind of connects to the speech pathology thing, where it's like you might be teaching someone that, hey, this connotation is sarcasm, this connotation is not. Um,
Mhm.
so the thing about that is it works. And surprisingly, everybody, well, a lot of people are fine with it because they get their 1 second of fame just by donating a $20 bill, going like, hey, you read my thing. You're my significant other now, because that's how things work.
Yep. That's how over the top some viewers can get.
And nothing's more parasocial. I mean, like, you're mentioning, I know I'm going on a parasocial rant, but you kind of, you started this. Well, technically I did, but whatever. I'm still going to blame you because I'm American. I could do that.
Hey, it's easier to blame others, right?
Right. Um, that's why I'm doing it. So, Dom, thank you for this rant. But it is your fault. But one facet of, I guess, online content, because it's not just Twitch, it's not just YouTube. There are different stream platforms everywhere. It happens on TikTok a lot too. But one category of people who I guess have a big percentage of parasocial relationships is, I wonder if any of you can guess it. I'll give both of you one guess, starting with Dom. You want to guess?
Okay. Is this some? Okay, I'm trying to think about it.
Okay, if you're
Hmm.
thinking,
Come
Lou,
on, Jacob. You know I'm not good at answering questions. You've seen my crossword streams.
you know what? Fair. That is very fair. But the community that gets a lot of parasocial relationships is VTubers, virtual YouTubers, content makers that are using technology as kind of like a puppet, right? You see an
Mhm.
animated character that's talking to me. Oh my
Mm.
God. I used to
Whoa!
only see this on TV, right? Like occasionally they'll break the fourth wall, but I know it's just the fourth wall. They're talking to me
Mhm.
instead of
Mhm.
just, a general audience. It's
Mhm.
me that this anime character is talking to. That's a big
Hmm.
part of it. I don't even know if I'm going to keep my rant in, but I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I mean, even as a viewer in some streams, you kind of get to know the streamer in a way through their streaming. And so I can see how easily you can feel like there's some sort of relationship there. Although, it's not, it doesn't always go both ways. They don't really know anything about you unless you've shared with them. So I think, it's hard to step out of that as, then you can, some people might feel like, oh, I know everything about this person, like I can talk to them. But like from a streamer perspective, like from my perspective, I've been able to kind of be both the viewer and the streamer. Of course, not as big of a streamer as some who are experiencing like kind of more higher level or intense, parasocial interactions. But you think as a viewer, like, you learn so much about the streamer, whether they be, a VTuber, camera, no camera, whatever it is, you feel like there's some, connection because you learn about them and things about them. But, the streamer doesn't really know about you or things about yourself unless, of course, you've shared it with them. Maybe whatever you type in chat or you donate, whatever that might be. So I think, connections that people make online have kind of become a bigger thing. We meet people online for work, for relationships, for friendships, for many different things. And so I think it can be easily kind of, some of those lines can be a little bit blurred. And so I can see how keeping really like healthy boundaries or trying to, maintain the reality of what a relationship might be. Of course, it's kind of case by case basis, but I think another part that I have also seen, as far as like VTubers, but there's also like a lot of like AI now.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen streams. I've seen streams where it's like, you can talk to this AI, whatever, and they'll respond also. So I think it's just really getting blurry, a lot of like, reality and not, and relationships, friendships, all of that. So, it's a lot of like navigating just that we have to do both as streamers and as viewers. So I can say now, being a streamer, I can see where it's like, I share about myself and some people in chat might share about themselves, but I still, I might not know them as well as they have come to know me.
Yeah, some of them you have.
Oh, sorry.
What?
Hold on.
It's fine. It's fine. You
There's
heard
the dog.
mine.
Hold on a second.
You've already heard mine. It's fine.
I don't think you've heard my cat before. That's probably because I'm wearing headphones and it usually does not pick up on background noise.
It's that time where a lot of neighbors are getting home from work, I think, of course.
Yeah.
Right, because we have to boost back 3 hours, so it'd be about what, like 4 or 5?
Just about
Yeah.
to hit 5 p.m. Yep.
Yeah. That is that time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were experiencing that around 3 hours ago, so don't worry about it.
Okay, perfect.
But on the, I guess, same level as the artificial intelligent, I guess, VTuber, how do I want to put this? There is a company that has been making a, I guess, big splash on Twitter. They shared a clip, like a 30-second advertisement of their services, which is to come out, I guess, later. It's not fully in access. They just shared like a little snippet, I guess, preview, right? Which it was basically using AI to make a fully customizable, let's just say, romantic companion. But it's clearly a computer, but that line is, like you said, blurring to a point where you can't tell if this is a computer generated voice, especially after training it for long times. You can't tell this anymore. And this is a new thing because, like, what was it, Dom? Like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 maybe months ago?
Yeah.
We had an episode I hosted of this podcast. I think it was number 8 or maybe 10, one of them.
Well, it's definitely a long time ago.
It was definitely a long time ago. We're in our 20s now, right?
Yeah.
Both literally and podcastally, right? But
Yeah.
we talked about AI, and it was already fascinating, scary, amazing, funny, but within literally just half of a year or whatever, it's gotten to a point where different corporations are trying to capitalize on the idea of being lonely. Why go out into the real world to experience rejection if you could get acceptance within a click of a button, right?
Mhm.
So
I mean,
this company shared, I think they have their Twitter account is named after like one of the characters. I think it's Digi, right? Digital girlfriend or whatever, right? Like Digi, Digi.
Mhm.
And it has 18 million views, which on Twitter, that's wow. And a lot of people are not a fan of this. But of course, you got the other extremist where it's like, hey, I don't tell you that you can't marry whoever you want. Leave me alone. Leave Digi and I alone, right? So
Mhm.
it's a sense of, and we could definitely get into this with a different episode within artificial intelligence part 2 or something, but it's definitely at a precipice, right? We're at a point of, oh my god, this movie stuff is not movie stuff anymore. This is real. That movie where it's like the guy falling in love with a smartphone is not just a movie. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. No, I think the trajectory of how fast it's going is almost it's faster than, as a population we can really like comprehend and keep up with. And I even think, for the kids I work with, it's all readily accessible even for them. And, if we as adults have trouble comprehending and interacting with it, I can only imagine for, younger people too. And there's so much out there of ourselves, whether we want to share it or not. I feel like, with smartphones and tracking your location and everything, like, I think it's, a day and age where it's like safety for yourself, both like in person, your day to day, but also online. That is really something that I think would be a greater discussion to really, you know, also both kind of protect yourself, but keep yourself also kind of grounded too, because it can feel like those relationships are real, or it can feel like, you're making these connections. And I think so much of just communication in general, we need to see, face to face people, or, video chatting is great, but, nothing can really fully replace meeting and being with someone in person, seeing all of the nonverbal cues, picking up on everything. And so much can be construed in text, text messages. You don't hear the tone of voice they're using or the way they're saying it. And, it's just kind of becoming even more overcomplicated with all of these other facets of AI. And, um, you know, I've even seen on some streams where they're starting to use like voices of people to make it sound like they're, talking, or
Yeah,
um
I've,
picking up on
I've
yeah,
seen
picking up on
TTSs of like, I don't know,
yes.
Gary Oldman or something, SpongeBob, right? Like I've heard the,
Exactly. Which,
and then of course
it's
like the TTS is like swearing too, so it's like you imagine SpongeBob going like, ah, frack it, right? Like,
oh, fuck.
right. Which, there is some fun in that. I think, it's just being mindful and holding it to like that harmless fun. And
As long as it's for you guys' own personal enjoyment, but not put it online, because kids might think, oh, that's really SpongeBob talking.
there's
exactly.
there's a point, like since we're on this topic, there is like a point that I kind of think kind of harkens back to, I guess, a lot of historical agreements, let's say, where it's like, who's drawing a line, right? It's like, in order for, let's just say, okay, Dom, you are extremely on one side and I'm extremely on the other. Let's do some role playing here, right? I believe it is perfectly, and remember, I'm acting, so
Yeah.
this is only character. I believe it is perfectly fine to digitize your face, your voice, and put you in random situations that you would never find yourself in. Like, you know, inappropriate relationships. And then I will share it with your place of employment, and suddenly no one wants to work with you. That's fun.
No, please,
That's
no.
fun in this character's opinion, right? That's all fun and games, but it could be destroying your life,
It could. It literally
your
could.
relationships, your
Over something
positions, all because I did something without even your consent, which could be another can of worms right there, because you already have unconsentful things happening. But if I thought that was fun in games, and I thought I deserved just like a slap on the wrist or something, you could be over here thinking, that's bullshit. Lock him up, right? Like,
it would turn from a slap in the wrist to a slap in the face.
oh, worse than that, like death penalty, because even though digital, I could argue saying, oh, it's not real, you didn't really do it. Both you and I know that you didn't really do this. It's still unconsentful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost like some of those things can still cause harm to someone, whether the intent was there or not. And that's the part that, again, we can misunderstand and interpret people's intent for over many things, but then, there's kind of it goes to another level when it's something like what you described.
Right, and that's definitely like a really worst case scenario. Even part one, I guess, because we're probably doing a part two of AI maybe soon. But in part one, we definitely went over a case of exactly that. And it's only getting better and better as technology progresses. Wow, I'm losing my voice.
Better for the worse
as
or better
technology
for the better?
progresses, it's really something that we need. And I'm kind of getting political here, but I'm not really getting political here. We need a newer generation in office that understands this a little bit more to actually discuss what the rules with artificial intelligence should be. Because I'm sorry, if you're like 80 years old and you're not even using Facebook, what right do you have in saying all of these new technologies? Like, you see, this is another tangent here, but you see like the press release or something, like the Congress meeting with Mr. Shu, I guess a representative of TikTok.
Say with 100% certainty that TikTok does not use the phone's camera to determine whether the content that elicits a pupil dilation should be amplified by the algorithm. Can you tell?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All of these older senators or Congress members who we are, I guess, technically ruled by, don't even know how Wi-Fi works.
They were probably.
If I connect to your Wi-Fi, to the Wi-Fi password, Mr. Shu, does that mean you have my data? What? We have to put people in a position that actually understand a little bit of it, so then we can have a form of, I guess, understanding of what we should do. Big artificial intelligence tangent. I know.
These are probably the same people that were in college back when Carter was president.
Something like that.
But anything else on your bullet point?
Yes, because I have made so many tangents, and I apologize about that. Lou, if you're still there anyway.
Oh, I'm here. No, I think it's, we're kind of touching on some larger topics, so those tangents are definitely, understandable. I think there's just so much, things are moving so fast that it's easy to be, fall behind or get out of touch with things. And it's interesting, like you said, it's only been a couple, years. What will happen, just in another couple of years.
Yeah. So one of my next things actually, uh, if we remember, maybe at this point, 30, 40 minutes ago, um, uh, we did discuss you finding like a balance between, you know, your Twitch hobby and your career, right? So this one kind of tags onto that, where it's is there any plan that you have to possibly use your Twitch account, your platform, to maybe raise awareness for different speech disorders or maybe related causes? Are you thinking of putting up some donation stuff, charity events, any different thing, or maybe have like a just chatting stream where you're just talking about what it is you do, or maybe actually just play this audio whenever it's ready.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. I actually was thinking when this is ready, it would be nice to maybe play it for my stream. But, also just, I think it would be great. I mean, I love talking about what I do during the day. Anyone who will sit there long enough and listen to me talk about it, I will talk. So I think I've been kind of hesitant to share a lot on stream. I know some viewers have expressed like, "Oh, can you share about speech and language or whatever?" And, I think I would definitely love to. I mean, using this platform in other ways than I have already, as far as making a safe and comfortable place for people to hang out. I'd also love to maybe explore sharing about what I do, or sharing about different disorders, or finding ways that I can connect with charities, or ways to like help the broader community. I think would be fantastic. I mean, it's I think I sometimes don't realize how many people I do kind of touch, and no matter how big or small, if I can help you know share awareness, or teach people things that I know, I would love to. I think it's just kind of figuring out how and when and all of that, but it would be really great to do that at some point.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, so I guess that's a good way to expand. I guess like their variety of content, like speech and language. I mean,
Ooh.
what you do. Gaming is still cool, but yeah, variety does also help make things more interesting.
Yeah,
When it comes to
I think one thing that would be kind of cool is, there's like tags on Twitch that you can do, and I tag like sleepy or chill or whatever. Um, I've thought maybe I can tag like speech and language or communication or something, or things about myself. I do have my pronouns she, her, and I have on my channel like an extension for viewers if they want to add their pronouns. I think it's like just affirming people for who they are is one thing that I do during the day, and also I want to do on Twitch. And being able to share more about myself too. I mean, um I do have like a background. I think one of the things that I've been able to kind of work on improving just myself too, with streaming, is I know Spanish, but I'm not exactly fluent. And so there's been some streams where chatters will come in speaking a little bit of Spanish, and I've been able to practice some of my Spanish with them. And it's been nice. I think, I don't know if there was a question you had asked before, Jacob or Dom, but kind of the overlap between the two, that was one thing I forgot to mention, is, in my work, I do have a lot of families who speak Spanish or other languages. And so learning to improve my own language for Spanish, but also working with like interpreters or translators, and just multicultural people in general, I have learned during the day, and also want to try and use that as much as I can during like the streaming as well too. Um, my background is I was born in America, but both my mom and my dad's side is Colombian and Mexican, and so somehow like branching and it just like showing who I am and on Twitch and being able to kind of expand in that way, and also my role as an SLP too, if I can share that with others. And if they are willing to listen and want to listen, I would love to. It is nice. I've been focused mostly on gaming, but I would be open to that variety of learning from others too, or learning from chat as well.
Eso es tan genial. Camino a seguir. Did you
What
get
language
that?
is that?
Did you get that?
No, I didn't. What language?
It was Google Translate English to Spanish, so maybe not, maybe not accurate.
Oh, yeah, Google Translate is actually it's gotten a lot better. Speaking of technology,
So I,
Google Translate has gotten better.
so I've just mispronounced it,
It could
butchered
have been
it.
the delivery
I
of
just,
it.
I basically just typed in, "That is so neat. Way to go," and tried my best at it. Oh, yeah, I just figured I could maybe put you on the spot to see what I said, but you know what? I revealed it too soon.
All
Uh,
about taking risks.
That's something that is kind of actually related to that side was, and I'm going back before the language was we discussed something where you could possibly be talking about your speech pathology in the Twitch community. However, is there a possible, I guess, flip side to that where you're talking about Twitch stuff in a classroom?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I think being on Twitch and being around what's new, the metas, the fads, I've been able to kind of keep up with the kids when they're talking about, new games and when they're talking about things. Um, in a way, I think that's how I could see it working as a flip side. Uh, I don't hear many of the kids I work with talk about Twitch platform. I feel like I would take a role more of just kind of like listening and taking it in. And I do try to play like, oh, what is that? But if anything, it would just be a lot of like online safety that I would probably bring up with them. Or, a lot of times I have to say like, well, just because you saw it online doesn't mean it's real, and
What
kind
do
of
you mean? It's always true. The internet told
What do
me
you
it
mean?
is.
Yeah.
One thing that has been funny is on my computer, I obviously have the Discord app. And so sometimes the students might see that you have Discord. I'm like, oh, yeah, I do have
Yes,
Discord.
I do.
My God, this is sounding like of course I'm going to bleep out his name because I don't know if he's okay with being mentioned, but this is just like Mr. Um, let's just say our film teacher. You know what?
Oh, yes.
That way we don't have to say a name. Film teacher. This reminds me of Mr. Film, where
Mr.
where in
Mr. Celluloid.
right, where in class we're basically like, oh, maybe after graduation, can we follow you or something? And then it's like, no, don't do it.
Mm.
He's like, he doesn't want to mix students with. Don't do it. Maybe in 10 years, the class of 2019 can maybe friend me. But no, don't do it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. There have been kids who are like, do you have Snapchat? Do you have Instagram? And they're on there.
It's trying to put you on their snap.
No.
Or how about, do you ever get recommended those people?
Oh,
Since
shoot,
these
right.
Like
you might be,
on the website, like does it say, oh, recommended for you and it's a kid or something?
like you might be, I guess, following like a coworker or something just out of kindness, and then that coworker, because that coworker is the parent of said kid in your class, it might be like a recommended person for you. little kid underscore 5, right?
Little Timmy.
Right.
Little Tim,
Um,
Mr. Bob.
You see
you
any of
know,
those?
thankfully, so far so good. I have not seen that, but that is definitely good to be aware of. Yeah,
Or
thankfully I can say I haven't seen like recommended um a student, but I have had students that say, "Oh, I have my own YouTube channel or I'm posting these videos," and I'm like, "Oh, really?" Um, so
You're awesome.
or they grow up and they want to be a YouTuber. Like it's really like just opened up so much that I think I just yeah, it'll if that happens, I'll be sure to be like, okay, I remember Dom and Jacob warned me about this.
mhm.
Because I mean, to kind of tag back into the parasocial end of things, the teacher-student relationship is way different than, let's say, the public person who's just shopping at the shopping place at the
Mm-hmm.
grocery store, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you mean, Miss Johnson isn't a robot that recharges in the janitor's closet, right? Like, you just
She
plug
goes
her
home, she
in.
doesn't sleep at school.
She's just an android, right? She's supposed to teach us things, and that shit powers off.
Mm.
Why is she in this store?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a thing being out in the wild and seeing, your students or your, kids that you've worked with before. Um,
I saw like a sketch that someone did where it was like a group of teachers were like, in public, right? And a group of their students were in public, and both of them like notice each other and just hide behind a pillar, being like, "Are they gone?" It's like, I still didn't do my essay. She's gonna yell at me. Well, I didn't grade that essay. You're gonna be disappointed in me as your teacher. I don't think students care if you grade their stuff. It's more the parents that do. But the sketch just kind of reminded me of this.
Yep, yep. It's all
Yeah.
about your perspective on it.
My students can't
Perfect.
see me in this tube top. But to kind of segue into a next little thing, believe it or not, I have not been asking everything. I've been skipping over a lot. I guess I was just very excited to have you here. So
Aw.
it's neat. Um, but would there be any future plans or aspirations for your, I guess, SLP and your TWIT SCH? I almost forgot how to spell. Would there be any potential future plans or aspirations for your careers? Well, career,
Um,
hobby, career,
Yes, careers.
your Twitch
yeah,
career of two streams a week, right? Yeah.
exactly. Stream a little bit more, an hour extra. I think for, my being an SLP when I was in school and graduating, I always thought maybe someday I'd go back for my doctorate. Um, and I was like, okay, I'll work a little, I'll see what area. As you know, there's so many different areas within the field. I was like, I'll see what I like the most, and then maybe I'll go back and do some research on it. But I'm very happy where I am right now, and so I think I want to just kind of continue to like improve upon my, the intervention I provide, my therapy, my own, building up my second language of Spanish, being able to, I think, be more efficient too, create a better work-life balance, and be able to just be the best that I can be for the children, students, and families that I work with. And then for Twitch, honestly, I mean, I think so. Like as of now, I've done way more than I thought I ever could on the platform. So I would say just kind of being able to continue to foster it, being able to still manage both of what I do, my my day job and Twitch job. And, if I can grow, that would be great. I think I really look to people having like the best experience that they can when they're in my streams. And so just being able to continue that, I think, is what I would like. And, like we did touch on maybe future things of, educating about speech language pathology or other areas or charity or, that would be maybe another avenue to kind of expand. Um, I think one thing that I haven't been able to share too is like, uh, I have made a lot of, people on Twitch. There's a lot of great people there, both other streamers and viewers. I've had such like help and support from viewers who are, willing to, from mods and chat, people who help maintain like my Discord, people who have helped guide me, as far as fellow streamers from, supporting my channel with like raids. I think it's
People who attempt to give you emote help, but you never respond to them.
that is one thing.
People-
Okay, I need to improve upon my communication as an SLP. Very much an oxymoron, but yes, I do. I need more emote slots, but I know
just
we
had
do
to
want
do
some
that, I'm
slots.
sorry.
yes, people who are willing to do emotes for me. That is huge. Yes, I think that's one thing that has been able to like help me be as successful as I am and kind of like be motivated to continue what I do. Especially, I have a lot of people I know from the viewer aspect as far as like other streamers who've been helpful. Like one of them was like Composer, who makes a lot of kind of music levels on Mario Maker 2. He at the beginning was like very like supportive, and I feel like I've met a lot of other people through streams. Like it is kind of a small community even though it's online. I've also like met people like Sugar Falcon or like IPK who've like been able to really like continually support like the stream. And I think also me as like from a streamer perspective help with like, how do I do this with the stream, or how am I able to, things that are kind of new to me, and be able to like guide me and help me with that aspect of it. So I know that wasn't exactly the question, but that's something I've just wanted to share as far as that has helped me in my own like unique community here to I think we do so well when we help each other, and I'm very thankful for those in my community and those that I haven't forgotten to mention. I apologize if I left anyone out, but there's been just so much like support all around that I think has helped keep me going in what I do. So
Hey, we got a rapid fire round. You got to name everybody who you're thankful for.
all right, let me pull up my
Rapid fire,
viewer my followers list. Okay, how much time
Where's
do
your
we
handy-
have?
Where's your handy dandy notebook?
It's funny you say that actually. One thing that I considered doing when I was starting to stream more consistently was keep like a document of every viewer and everything they've shared with me.
That is maybe stalkerish.
Okay, the only reason I wanted to do that was so that I
Here
can
are
be
my Patreon supporters.
so that I can remember more things that they told me about. Because as you know, my memory is not always the best. So I was like, okay, this might help me remember like this person was, in their last semester, they were about to graduate. Okay, I can ask them about that. Or,
Yeah,
this person
things
was
like that should probably be like, I guess, okay. But when it comes to like, oh, I've pinpointed your address. I know where you live.
You live on 123 Sesame Street.
Yes, exactly.
I live in the trash can next to it. I'm Oscar.
Nice to meet you. Glad to have you on.
There's a lot of good
Exactly.
food in
And
the
that's why I
dumpster.
didn't do it. I didn't do it. I just held it all in my brain.
Perfect. I mean, this kind of goes back to even the content creation. Do you like what you're doing now? Like, instead of being like, I mean, would you like being? I don't care. I gotta rephrase this.
Are you content with what you're doing now, or is
No,
this
I meant
no? Okay.
like you're. Let's say for me, for example, I'm comfortable not being a big name, like on the top, but at the same time, I also want to be as more known than we are now. But let's say also you don't want to sign some shady contract with people that want to make you more and more famous.
Do you aspire to be on the front page of Twitch with 20,000 viewers concurrently every single stream, every moment? Your chat is on slow mode, except it's also blasting off to the moon. Do you aspire for, I guess, bigger and better? Or is it that you are content with the size and how you're doing things right now? I guess is the question. If I'm rephrasing it right, is that your question?
I think you've kind of got it, but yeah.
Whoa,
but
yeah.
It's better to be like. Do you prefer being independent or part of a contract? Like, I don't know.
Oh, part of like a content house or something, like part of a team, or independent.
Let me bring in Smosh for an example. On YouTube, they signed something with Defy Media or something. Then they went bankrupt, and over time, Anthony was not in control of his channel or their channel. But do you like where you are right now? And do you wish to continue that?
I think I am very happy with where I am. I think initially I was starting to get into like, oh no, when I switch games, there's not many people watching, or I go live and it's like, oh, no one's here, or and that was kind of hard at first. But what I did, and it was kind of something another streamer does, is like just not seeing the view count, or not, trying to like not let that be a part of it, or like followers or subs or whatever. And I think it's really helped, because like the reason I got into it was to have fun, interact with people, play games or whatever. And I think taking out some of those factors that might impact, I'm, maybe today's not a great day, not many people are here, or, oh, I want to play this game, but not many people will watch, so maybe I won't. Like, trying to like get out of my own head in that way. And I think because of that, I've been able to enjoy it more in the moment. And I did mention before about like how I essentially read whatever messages are in the chat, and I try and like connect with everyone. I think if I were to have like way more viewers, it would probably be a lot more challenging to do that, at least to the extent that I want to with people. Of course, whatever happens, I would be more than happy navigating it. I think also that I have my day job. It allows me to kind of balance the two. Like, I'm able to make a living off what I do, and this is like I'm able to have fun. It's a hobby, and I am just grateful for the people who show up and the people who spend time. I think it is a little unique to have a small community and be able to kind of really create those relationships in chat that we have. So I am pretty happy and content with what I have right now.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, healthy mindset to actually have there, because there are so many people, and honestly, it's easy to fall under this, but numbers just turn into joy and purpose, I guess, right? You're
As in
always
the moment?
comparing your statistics with other people, whether you want to or not. And it
Mhm.
doesn't even have to be Twitch related. It could be like, oh, geez, someone I graduated with is only 23 and they have a house, a child, and they're married. What
Mhm.
am I doing? Right? There's
Mhm.
always the comparison, the comparative side to things, whether it's Twitch, whether it's career related, whether it's whatever.
Self-reflection, sort of.
It's always it could be a sense of, dang, everybody else is in a better position than I am. I maybe should stop. I should just stop trying to do this hobby that gave me joy. I should stop doing this thing. What you said about not worrying about the numbers, I think Twitch actually has something in the settings where you could just toggle off the view count. You don't
Mhm.
even have to see it if you don't want to. That's what a lot of people, even big or little, they do that. They could have one person in there and they could have a million and they will not know because it affects them. It's
Mhm.
one of those things. It feels so great to have big numbers, right? It feels so great to have that 200. I'm saying 200 because I could rarely ever imagine this channel getting big enough to see that number. But hey, you know what? We could try and we could try our best with it. And I'm going to try not to worry about the numbers and stuff like that. But it's still something that I like this channel and the things that we're discussing behind the scenes as well, that I want people to experience them, not just the two people and my two other accounts who watch every video. but but it's one of those, you see that 200 mark, then you see it again, then you see it again, suddenly it doesn't feel as great as it did a week ago or a year ago, however long. It kind of turns into a different number. 200 is nothing now. 200 is just another Wednesday. But how devastating it feels to go from 200 to 1,000 back to 6, that messes with people's minds, even if they want it not to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad that your answer to that was, you don't need to be the top percent in the world, let alone the platform, but you're also, trying to, I guess, improve things a little bit. Slowly but surely improving things, because right now we don't have a capture card.
And
Mario's
that's
on mute.
yeah, and that's also something that I think has helped me with it is like, we've had tech issues, we've had streams crash, we've had capture card issues. My hands and wrists have been flaring up and prevented me from playing certain games. And I think despite all of that, there are people who still come by and still connect. And um, I think it is a challenge to kind of shift your attention to other things as opposed to like the growth of a channel and you know the success or if people are interested or not interested, and so every day it's refocusing that and trying to use some of those features too, like hiding things to help stay focused and also to like give your best self too. I want to be able to stream consistent as much as I can and not let things impact, the mood of the string or the string, the mood of the stream or the vibe, as much as I can. But we're all human. It's hard not to think of those things.
There's something that I'd like to kind of brush up on, which you pretty much just mentioned, of maybe a certain stream, a certain game isn't performing as well as maybe the one before. Maybe whatever the reason, this one only has 2 people in it, whereas yesterday it had 2002, right? Making up the numbers, but hopefully soon you could get 2002, maybe. But the thing about that is there are so many reasons why things might not be that way, right? Maybe it just so happens that those 2,000 people who aren't there anymore, from day 1 to day 2, they could all just be busy. They could all have different time zones and they could be sleeping. There are definitely different things that are going on. And I would feel like in that position, I would throw away all my reasoning and be like, the 2,000 people are not here. What's happening? I am a failure, even though it could just be a different reason. It might not be the first thing that you think of, oh, I suck, that's the reason why. It might be, I'm busy, I'm sleeping, I'm sick, I'm a monk for a month, so I don't have technology. Could be anything.
Yeah.
No, that's huge. And I think like watching other streamers and like some of the people I've connected with, like that's also an attitude that they have. Like, every person has their own lives, things come up. And you can get a little bit used to like, okay, this is usually the amount of people who come. What's different? Is it something, and you're always quick to look at yourself. Is it something I did? Is it the game we're playing or what? And again, just like trying to shift back, like, okay, something might have come up for people. They all have their own lives. The fact that they even take time to be in stream whenever they can, it just trying to be grateful for that and kind of staying grounded in that, which is hard in general outside of streaming, not to take things personally or not to, reflect negatively on yourself when something doesn't go the way you wanted it to. So I think that's another piece just to navigate and try and keep in your headspace in with that. But, I think that's what's helpful, like with Discord or other ways of communicating, because oftentimes people will come back and be like, oh yeah, I was sick, or I was on vacation. And then it's like, oh, see, everyone's, doing their own, living their own lives. And I think that's something that I've had in my community, some people who will be gone for a while and then come back. And that's it's huge that they take the time to do that. This community or this place means enough to them that they want to update us or keep us, know that they've, recognize that they haven't been there and that they miss it or whatever it might be. And so it's something that I do also try and tell myself if there's, not as a different amount of people in chat or some people I haven't seen. And it's just reality. Everyone's living their own lives. For the, outside of the 2 hours I stream or whatever it is.
Right. Because kind of brushing up on that, one of the people who I used to kind of see a lot, but kind of rarely ever do, I think last week or maybe the week before maybe, I saw his name pop in, but Pow is one of those like rarities. Which he has a position. I think he's also a father or maybe a grandfather. I don't know how old he is. I apologize, and Pow, if you're listening to this. Maybe you're probably not because you're probably busy. But just even last week or 2 weeks ago, I was, I came down with a little bit of the sickness, right? And I even like come Monday, I was like, I can't do this. I'm popping in at the beginning of stream just to say I am going through the ringer right now. Don't worry, but I'm not going to be here. And then I think the next day I was like, I could maybe do 30 minutes, but I can't do the rest. Bye. And then, a week goes by, and then suddenly I'm like, I think I could watch an hour of something, and then I got better and better and better and stuff like that, right? But Abraxas 2 is one of those rarity ones, although more common than Impala at this moment. Someone who's not rare is pretty much always there. Synth, surprise, I am blanking on Twitch names. You know your community better. You name them.
Oh gosh, now you're putting me on the spot.
Again.
Again. Yeah, like I think
There's
I've
an easy
had
one you can name.
surprise.
Me.
Oh, Jacob, sorry.
What
Yeah, surprise. She's always thinking about you, I guess.
No,
Shout out to
Well,
you.
this is why
we're all new.
this is why I didn't want to name names.
What about Spice Master?
Yeah, Spice Master. No, one person, also Studios, they very rarely will come through, but I think they're my longest standing sub. And that alone for me, even when I took a year or whatever off, they were still subbing to me, was like that, like alone, like I'll think of that and it like just blows my mind, And every so often they'll come in. I don't know if you've seen him, Jacob, but
I've seen Studio
yeah.
countless times. He hasn't.
Yep.
I know he hasn't, but
I'm still new to the whole community.
yeah, I sort of forced him to come through.
I was still willing to.
I figured it was a good idea to be like, okay, if you're talking to basically the queen of the kingdom, you should at least get to know us lowly peasants, right? So I roped him into it. I forced him to come in.
And I thank you for joining. That's one thing that I think is another aspect of the streaming, is like some people in chat have told other of their friends or other people they know to come by, and that's something that is always really great. Like it's such a compliment that people will come by and maybe they'll chat, maybe they'll lurk, whatever it might be. I'm so appreciative of anything of that sort. So I couldn't have imagined what I'm doing now that it would be what it is, when I started. So I just have to remain thankful for that.
Yeah, your 2023 self talking to your 2016 self being like, you're gonna be famous.
Yeah, basically. I know I'm talking like it's huge, but
It is. I mean, like, going from 0 to 100, no matter how long it takes. I mean, it's easier to, like I said, everything is like a numbers game nowadays, but it's easy to compare yourself to the person who's overnight a billion followers or whatever, right? But that 0 to 100 is impressive. I'm still in shock that we have 13 on this channel. It's like, I remember yesterday, it was literally just my 2 alternate accounts. It was literally me and myself.
Yep. We always start somewhere, and that's something it's hard, you don't want to lose sight of.
Totally.
Yeah.
So this will, I guess, be the last section before concluding. Would you like to share some advice for any individuals interested in pursuing either or even both of these careers or hobbies? Any beginners?
Yeah. For speech language pathology, I think one thing that was very helpful for me was observing and seeing, what it's like in the field. On paper it can be like, oh, this looks interesting, but until you're actually in it and seeing what it looks like, what your day-to-day will look like, that was something that was really huge for me. I know there have been people because I worked as a preschool teacher too, or whatever it might be, they think they want to do it, they get there and then they're like, oh no, I don't want to do this, or they change careers, which, we all kind of go through our own process of finding what we want to do. And so specifically for this field, observing different SLPs, observing those who work in the school, maybe who work with preschoolers, elementary, middle, high school, see what population you like, or observing in, hospital setting, or skilled nursing facility, outpatient rehab, even private practice. Some people open up their own, practice outside of all of that. So I say just, seeing everything and anything you're able to is super helpful as far as from speech and language. And then for streaming, I would say some of the things I've said already is like, remember what you went into it for. You want to have fun, or you want to, meet people, or you want to, whatever your reason is, just always remember to like hold that, because there can be things that come up, the growth of the channel, the viewer count, the subs, the followers, that can get in the way. So, just going live and trying, you may find you love it, you may find, it's not for you. And I think what did help was like finding, either IRL people who do know of my streaming. There's not many, but or friends you've made online, and then having their support too when you stream. It can just be your friends or people but having someone in chat can make such a huge difference, especially when you're starting out. Kind of, if you're able to find people or viewers who can come and go and just kind of keep you moving through your streams at the beginning is huge. And I think if you have, it's great to have like huge aspirations if you want to like make it really big or whatever. But again, it can take time for some of that to happen. And so just trying to find the little victories and things to keep you going through it is what I would say would be what's helped me.
All right.
Right on. Kind of a related thing to the Twitch thing. And of course, I'm saying this as a joke, but I would definitely appreciate it. Is there any chance I'll become a VIP anytime soon?
Jacob, a slot may have opened up. I have to check. I gotta look.
I'm tired of doing emote only, and literally everybody but me and Fake are talking.
I know, and that's the thing.
And then Fake's over here being like, why did you silence me? I'm like, I thought everyone else would be silent.
I know. That is one thing that, with a smaller community, it can be only the,
Obviously, that's only a joke, but.
No, and that's something that I haven't re-looked at. So good job shooting your shot, Jacob. This may have just gotten you into one of those pink diamond badges.
Yes, maybe that's step one to finally procuring my own golden loo, right?
Exactly. And you've been so patient as well, both of you, with getting this interview on the books. So, I'm glad we were finally able to get that going.
You should have seen some of the private messages between Dom and I, basically being like, yeah, I've been trying to get her to do something for probably close to a year now. Good luck keeping your sanity, Tom. I've been through the ringer before. I've bashed my skull open tons of times. I now have an indestructible skull, which I guess is a benefit of bashing it open so many times, but it's still an offer. I'll still do emotes. I still
Yes.
want you to send the best ones, I guess, in your opinion. Unless if you
Yes.
really can't choose because all 500 of them belong on the fridge, maybe. But
They probably do. It's hard to pick favorites, even with drawings.
I mean, you could definitely pick iconic because like the first like 4 of them that you ever did
True.
are icons, right?
That's true. Yeah, me learning how to use a pencil in the comment section for Mario Maker, that is classic.
And now you're afraid of painting Lisa Monaire.
I try. Yes. And I think that's one thing. I am not the best at communicating outside of, when I'm streaming or working, just private messages. So ping me, remind me. I love that. Nothing personal. That's what I need to keep it all straight for me. So I will definitely get back to you on that, Jacob. Maybe that's the next thing. We checked this one off the list. Now I got the next one.
And the weird
All
thing
right.
is, this one was the thing that I pitched to you second.
I know. Out of order. Sorry.
Oh, there's the Tin Man.
I guess first would be the Twitch channel. Twitch.tv/Lulu021. It's streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, usually. I start anywhere from 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Everyone's welcome if you're interested. I also have my YouTube channel, which I've been uploading VODs of all streams to. That's, I think it's like Lulu0213, but Lulu021 is also my name there on YouTube. And then the last is Twitter, or X now. My @ is _Lulu_021. So a lot of my actual name was taken. So I had to find creative ways of spelling my name on those. But yeah, those would be all of the things to shout out. Thank you so much for letting me chat with you both, and really appreciate you taking the time to
All
interview
right.
me.
Definitely.
So, yep. Thank you for joining. And yeah.
Yeah. So, once again, a good old thank you for joining us, Lulu021. And let's see. Now, for the rest of you, thank you for listening. And please take a moment to subscribe, click that notification bell, comment, share, and do all of that to Lulu stuff as well. Because come on, she sat through 3 hours with these 2 lunatics. She deserves it. With that being
Yeah.
said, have a great one, everyone.
Peace out.
See you on twitch.tv.
Bye.